Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, John, all the way from Challenge, California. We might have to look that up because it's a very cool place. I am going to go ahead and actually drive down and enjoy the beautiful scenery that John enjoys every single day. What more can you call as success, right? Being able to live the life that you want to live in means and ways that you are able to achieve. So John, without any further delay, share your secrets. How did you manage to get there?
Yeah. Well, I have a story for you. When I was about 10 years old, I think it was in the sixth grade, my
Hmm.
uncle sat me down in front of a computer and he had a notepad and Internet Explorer. And he typed a little HTML body tag and said background yellow, background color yellow. He refreshed the page and it turned yellow. And from that point, I was intrigued. I was hooked. Um, and back at this time there was no CSS and JavaScript was around, but you had to go buy a book. There wasn't like a lot of good tutorials on it. So slowly but surely, I would apply the things I was passionate towards in life and build websites out of them. So my first website, of course, as a 10 or 11-year-old boy, was a video game cheat code website. So I'd go to the store and I'd get these game magazines and I'd look through the code sections and I would type them all out, and I had thousands of HTML documents that I created. And I tried to make a template so I could just kind of copy and paste and then fill in the details, make it a little easier. I did that for years and years. So I got to high school and met my good high school buddy JR, and he introduced me to PHP and MySQL. So
Yeah.
for 10 or 15 years, I really got into that, and maybe took me about 2 weeks to like wrap my head around the basics. This was all very new at the time. PHP, like a scripting language, is not the same as HTML. Um, After about 2 weeks, I started understanding how I could put things in the database, give it a primary key, and
Yeah.
click a link that puts something in the URL, read that number out of the URL, and go fetch that thing out of the database and put it on the page. So, of course, naturally, I took my video game website and put everything in the database and stripped out all the things. And then I had one nice template that I could just drop some variables into.
Yeah.
And then we got into WordPress and some WordPress plugins and search engine optimization. Went through all these learning experiences, and then it was about 2012, 2014, somewhere in there. I started working for an energy technology company in
Mhm.
Rockland, California. And unfortunately, they went out of business. They're out of business now. But they hired me to do some web work, and I got in there, and they didn't have any web work for me, which was okay. So I did a little bit of post-processing scripts. I spent a month or so working in their manufacturing department, building cable harnesses. The
Mhm.
printer would break, and I didn't know what else to do, so I go fix the printer. And the network was having issues, so I'd rerun some wires, some Ethernet cables and stuff to, virtualize the servers and just kind of whatever needed to be fixed. I would just go look at it because I had the freedom. And eventually, the CEO came to me and said, "Hey, we want to build this three-phase industrial three-phase power meter."
Mhm.
He's like, "But if you do it, you have to commit to it." He made it sound like this big, huge thing, and it made me nervous. I was like, "Let me think about it. Get back to you." And so, of course, like the next day, I was like, "Well, of course I'm going to do that. Yeah, let's do it." So I had to learn Python, and they had this. Yeah, I was like, "Just go learn Python." Okay, sure, let's do that. And there was a couple people in the building that knew Python, so that for me, I couldn't just go online and read and be like, "Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense," because saying something and using whatever words you use to say it is like easy because you know what you mean and it
Mhm.
makes sense to you. But being on the receiving end of that and trying to decipher it, especially when your
Yeah.
mind's going a million different places at once,
Yeah.
trying to figure it out, it was challenging. But I would enjoy being able to sit down and talk to somebody where I could ask questions. And so it took maybe 8 days, 2 weeks, somewhere in there, 2 weeks maybe.
Mhm.
And I was ready with that. I had learned what I needed to learn. I challenged myself because I was curious. I was like, I want to make a port scanner. So I created a little port scanner that would scan the
Mhm.
network and tell me which ports were open on what IPs. and then I used some multi-threading to make it faster, and went. I think the first time
That was in Python?
Python, yeah. I think the first time I ran it, it took something like 10 or 11 minutes, and then after the multi-threading, it took like 10 seconds. It was super
Wow.
fast.
Yeah.
And of course, I had to adjust some timeouts and things like that. If something doesn't respond in a couple seconds, I don't need to wait a minute to see if it's going to talk. It didn't talk. So I did that. Like I had to have that hands-on project to like wrap my head around what do I want to do? How do I
Mhm.
take this thing and wield it to the way I want based off what I know? So that was my introduction to Python. And once I did that first project, I immediately felt like, okay, I know what I know how to use this. I have like a process. I understand the syntax enough. So built the three-phase power meter. Of course, it had a little thing called an AccuVim that did
Mhm.
the actual work of reading the power. They had these. This is a small one. This is a current transformer. You
Okay.
take a wire and you stick it in there, and as the current flows through, it creates a small voltage. And you read that voltage to determine how much amperage is going through that wire.
Mhm.
Um, so it would take in all that data, and then I had to talk to it over it was RS-45 Modbus over RS-45, and
Mhm.
um, and figure out all that stuff. And anyways, I'm getting a little in the weeds with it, but my time at JLM didn't just teach me programming. I saw how the guys in the operating department did what they did. An order would come in, they would build it, and I would ask questions when I was back there, and they'd send a thing off to HR, and they'd send a thing off to the sales department, and
Mhm.
then I go talk to the sales guys. I'm like, well, how does this work on your end? So by the time I was done, I was there for about 4 years. By the time I was done, I had a really great understanding of like how the business operated as a whole.
Mhm.
And so when they went under, we had a financial investor pull out last minute, from what I understand. And at the time, this was happening to a lot of energy companies. Um, I started forming my own opinions about, well, what could we have done different that maybe would have avoided that situation? And
Mhm.
I thought, well, the manufacturing department was a huge expense, right? But our software alone was so great, we should have opened it up and let it talk to any system, whether it's
Mhm.
Tesla or whatever, however
Yeah.
that would work. Anyway, so after JLM, there was a huge impactful point in my life and in my learning journey, and because at the time I still felt like I was in my 20s, but I felt like I just have no idea how the world works at that time, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm grasping at straws and trying to piece things together. Anyways, they went under, had a little bit of unemployment. I got hired at Educational Media Foundation, and they were big on Ruby on Rails. And
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I have to say, I liked working there. I was there for about a year and a half, 2 years, but I hate Ruby on Rails. And I really found that I loved JavaScript, and I started forming these opinions that whether you're doing video games or media or video chat, like I'm in a browser right now, you know, it's all powered by JavaScript.
Yeah.
And if you can do JavaScript on the back end and you can do JavaScript on the front end, you can do JavaScript on the mobile application.
Yeah.
Why would you do anything else? That just seems
Yeah.
that's the future of the web. So let's go in that direction. So
Yeah.
I latched on fully full stack JavaScript, Node.js. I did learn some really valuable things that like were not something I was exposed to previously
Mhm.
at Educational Media Foundation. They did a lot of like Dockerization, containerization. They did Ansible and Chef and Puppeteer. These I think it's called Puppeteer. These kind of things for like automating certain processes.
Okay.
The team that I was on was the broadcast media something, and we were responsible for essentially ensuring that the company had all the internal tooling required to make sure our audio streams were going out over the satellite, and coming down to the different stations, and getting out to people's radios in different places all over the country. So it was really a really good learning experience. But at the end of the day, like I just I did not like the Ruby on Rails. I found that in JavaScript, I'm like, oh, I need to do a thing.
Mhm.
Um, and I go figure out logically how to do it. I parse the strings, split it at the commas, move it around, whatever, and build a thing. And I knew how that thing worked, and I could go do it. But in Ruby on Rails, it was like, oh, you want to do the thing? You need the red dot go function. And I'm like, well, what's that? He's like, you just got to memorize this huge. I'm like, I don't memorize things. I I'm creative in a different way, but when it comes to memorizing, I hate that, right?
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what excites me and what really motivates me. So I left, and it was a good thing that I left, actually, because my next job was with American Express, and they were doing React and Node.js and
Hmm.
a little bit of Node.js, but mostly all the other server stuff that ran in production was like abstracted away from me.
Hmm.
But I got to learn some really cool things, and it's really where I latched on to JavaScript, where like I really cemented myself in what I do as a JavaScript engineer. They have this thing called Holocron.
Hmm.
So normally you have like a React repository and maybe just a React front end, say, and you put that in a repo. And over here you have a separate project and you put it in a React repo. But let's say that you wanted this repository to be like a shell around this thing, like almost like both at the same time.
Hmm.
That's what Holocron does. It lets you have like a React project that handles all of your data things, and
Hmm.
it's like got reducers and stuff, and it's all here. And then Holocron comes in and pulls in this other repository, total different GitLab or GitHub, whatever repository, puts it in there, and now your two React applications are actually connected behind
Hmm.
the scenes, and they deliver. So they have this thing where like all the different sections of their website, you have travel and entertainment and card member benefits and all these things, right? But they come across as one cohesive front end because of Holocron.
Hmm.
So they have one design language system that gets nested into everyone's application, and so everyone has the same look and feel across the board. And
Nice.
you don't need to know necessarily all the different things. You can kind of just stay in your box. So one of my jobs there, though, they put me in charge of uplifting the entertainment section. We had a change in the design language system, and the Holocron system got updated, and now we needed to do this major uplift where you're completely redesign. You have to do your reducers in a different way. And it
Hmm.
was really confusing because there wasn't really any documentation. So I had me and six other guys. Most of them, I think 4 or 5 of them, were fresh out of college. So, of course, I'm like, well, I have 6 months, and there's a deadline, and there's legal requirements, and I really want to put my good self forward. So I did the only thing I could think to do, which was to teach, which just totally didn't make sense to me at the time. It wasn't obvious to me. But instead of just sitting down and coding it myself, I would
Hmm.
have meetings and I would say, today we're going to do this and we're going to do it together. And if you don't know it, that's okay. Try to learn something, right? And we would go through it and we'd start building things. And some of them latched on faster than others, and some people had
Hmm.
questions, and something would work or something wouldn't work, and we'd have discussions. And we weren't working anymore. We were having fun. Like, it was something to look forward to. I didn't look forward to coming into work and doing this mind grueling mental gymnastics. I looked forward to coming into work and being able to spend time with people that actually were interested in what we're doing. And it
Yeah.
made all the difference to me. And it was at that time I realized culture matters. Culture matters so much. Um, it's the difference between thriving and not thriving. And it's the same thing with health. It's the same thing with relationships and all different areas of life. Is that if you're really finding something difficult, look at your environment and determine if your environment is conducive to your growth. And so
Hmm.
part of my success, I feel like, is I got lucky with my first job by
Hmm.
being in a good environment where I had the freedom to
Yeah.
explore. And I didn't have to just do programming because I was locked into programming. They were a startup, so they had a little bit of a different mentality. But I got to go all over and learn all these things and understand how the business worked as a whole. And by the end of the 4 years I was there, I understood it like the back of my head. But I haven't been able to find another position like that since. So it was like a one-time thing. It came and went. But then as I realized, like at EMF, I just didn't like it there. I like the people, but it didn't have
Yeah.
the work wasn't engaging enough, and I like the people, but it needs to have both. You have to have a good culture, and you have to be doing something you love. And I think that's really the secret behind it. And what's the guy that did 48 Laws of Powers? Green, Robert Green, is that right? I think Green is
I'm
his name. Um,
not familiar with that one. I'll have to look it up.
he has a little presentation on YouTube where he talks about how 40 years old his parents are a little worried. He's 40, he hasn't really figured out what he's doing, and but he was a writer and he had all these different life experiences, and they all came together in his 40s where all of a sudden he was an overnight best-selling author.
Wow.
you
Yeah.
know and that's how this is for us as well. Many of us is uh, taking all these experiences and they build upon each other. And by the time you get your 30s or maybe your 40s, you have built this framework that you operate in, and that
Hmm.
is what your success comes from. Um, Anyways, after Education Media Foundation, American Express, we had Optum Health. That's United Health Group and Optum Health. And Optum Health hired me to work on Change Healthcare because they had recently taken over Change Healthcare. And it was only a 6-month contract, but right in the middle of that, Change Healthcare had a data breach, really bad one, and that was that. Kind of ended early. So back to the drawing board, looking for work again, and then I found a military contracting company, and um, it's kind of interesting actually. I was doing a lot of interviews, like 50 or 60 interviews, right? And I was
Yeah.
having some really bad interviews, and these people, um, it feels more like an interrogation than an interview. And there's no mutual. It's not a two-way thing. They're not even smiling. They can't wait to get through it and get onto their lunch or
Yeah.
whatever. But this one company met with me, and the guy didn't show up on time, and so I said, well, he'll join us later. We'll go for it. We'll talk. And he's like, no, we have to wait for him. It's like, okay. 10 minutes goes by. I'm like, guys, he's not here. Like let's just reschedule this. And they're like, no. Tell us about yourself. Like,
Okay.
so I start talking, and then the girl interrupts. Your camera on, and I had it on previously and turned it off because they didn't have theirs on. I was just waiting. It was awkward, so I turned my camera off.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, sure. Do you guys mind turning your cameras on too? And she's like, no. Like, well, why? And she's like, well, because you're the one being interviewed. And
Yeah.
I lost it. I never lost my composure during an interview. Is this usually nerve wracking? But at that point, I was like mad, and I was like, no, you guys, this is a two-way street. Like I'm interviewing you, and you're interviewing me. But
Yeah.
it's like, get with it. Thanks, but no thanks. And I shut the laptop and stormed off. And
Yeah.
I posted about it on LinkedIn, and within about a week and a half, 2 weeks, 7.5 million people saw that post.
Wow. Yeah.
And out of nowhere, this guy sends me a message, Noah, good guy, sends me a message, says, hey, I think you're a guy. So like my
Wow.
next job, I worked at
That,
that company for a year. It comes in the most unexpected way. Sorry, were you gonna say something there?
maybe that was the interview. Like just going through that whole process of let's see what happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's two sides of it, right? There's the side where you want to be likable and do good in an interview, and you want them to understand you, and you're a human too. But that's not as important because we're here to work. And so you
Yeah.
kind of make these like internal sacrifices. You overthink it. But then there's the other side of things where people go, that guy doesn't take any BS. Let's get him. He knows what he wants. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So there's an aspect where you don't just want to have someone drum on you all day. You are also a person, and so you have to have a certain level of self-respect. And that was
Hmm.
a learning point too. I always felt that I wanted that respect, but I needed the job. So I've kind of formed these boundaries, these personal boundaries, and that protects me from a bad employer. Like
Hmm.
if they're not going to take the time to talk to me in person before asking me to do a 3-hour coding challenge, then I'm not interested because that's
Yeah.
not the kind of culture I want. I want
Yeah.
somebody who looks at me and says, John doesn't know everything, but he's a good guy and he knows what he's doing, and I trust him to get this job done. And I'm pretty sure there's some things he has to learn, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to pull it off. And I give updates, and it's like it's a journey and experience with every project and every job. It's a journey and experience. And so working at that company, that was SAIC, and
Hmm.
absolutely fantastic team. That project was for the Air Force. It kind of got cut short. I got transferred to another project. I'm not supposed to talk about that because it's classified. Um, but that project came to an end. March, somewhere in there this year, and I'm back to the drawing board once again, looking for work. And
Yeah.
so that brings me to where I'm at today. And as we talked about a little bit before, I have some side projects. I'm always working on something, and
Yeah.
part of what I feel like makes me successful is like this started as a hobby and it's something I actually enjoy. It's like it's got its moments where it's challenging and overwhelming and like drains you mentally. But that's what the guitar is for. That's what these tools that we have outside of coding. But at the same time, I just can't wait to get this thing working because it's so fulfilling to
Yeah.
finally have something working. Um, Is there anything you want to say before?
I was about to say, like, it's amazing how you managed to like start off from doing the most basic HTML, changing the background to being able to like learn so many different languages, because many times people end up having their preferences.
Yeah.
I do myself, like I had friends that used to code in Perl. I used to do PHP, and I would be like, I am not even going to speak with you. Forget about learning Perl. I don't want to speak with you anymore.
No, I feel that.
But
That's fine.
you were open to the idea and like being able to like self-learn all of these different languages and like apply them is it's not easy. It needs a different mindset.
Well, and it took many years to develop. I remember when I first started learning Python, I was asking this guy, and I was like I'm familiar with PHP. I understand how a request comes in to Apache. Apache goes, oh, that's a PHP file, send it to PHP parser. It then grabs the code, runs it, generates an output, sends it back to Apache, and it goes back to the user. I understand where it is in the
Yeah,
process. I understand how the data flows in and flows out, all of it. But I'm over here with Python, and I'm asking these stupid questions like, but where is it running? Like, I don't understand. I'm doing this, but like, where is it in the? No, there is no process. It's just running. It's just there. You can talk to the peripherals, and it will just do it. And like it was a
yeah,
mental shift, right? But each time you learn something, it's if you can imagine like you're building these little neuronal structures in your brain that goes, oh, I know how to identify that pattern and that thing. And you learn
yeah,
another thing, and there's a new structure, and it's like similar and different, but it's this
yeah,
own thing. And this is where you start realizing that like the cross domain knowledge, it doesn't matter for the most part, like the majority of jobs, it's all going to be exactly the same thing. One's a different industry and has slightly different terms. The other's a different industry, slightly different terms, but they do the same thing. They just call
yeah,
them different things.
yeah,
It's like understanding the diversity of microbes in the soil and how they work together is similar to your gut. It's similar to how the ecosystem of a forest as a whole works.
yeah,
And the more diversity you have, the more resilience to death, disease, and decay you have. But learning in these things is very much the same way. You're learning PHP and the way PHP does what it does, and you get accustomed to that. And then you come over here to this new thing, and you're like, ow, that's not
yeah,
like I
like,
get it, but then you like have these moments where you're like, I get it, and then I don't get it. Oh, I
yeah,
get it again. And
yeah,
so, this is something, it's like a little piece of advice. I do try to, as I grow and I mature, I try to boil things down to these little pieces of wisdom. And that is learning is repeated exposure over time. And that's
yeah,
it. It's not about coming out the door and knowing it all. It's just about taking the time to do it. And
yeah.
doing it in little increments, doing it in little increments more often is better than maybe not doing it at all. You don't
Yeah.
have to burn yourself out on something.
Hmm.
You just, but every time I sit down to code, especially, 10 years ago, I'd sit down to code. It'd take me like an hour and a half to 2 hours to like get ramped up, and like all of a sudden I'm flying and I know where this is and that is and all this stuff. And someone be like, John, you got a phone call, and poof, and it's gone. That doesn't happen to me anymore though, because
Yeah.
I'm actually coding in my head right now and all the time, and it doesn't stop because I'm fascinated by what I'm building. And so
Yeah.
even if you have a job in this industry and you're finding success, whatever it is, have something on the side that you do for yourself for the
Yeah.
time you're not working. Right now, a little bit of show and tell. I got some a variety of these chips here. This is a ESP32,
Hmm.
and it's got a little screen on it. This is very similar, but it's got a camera on it. It's
Hmm.
ESP32S. This is an ESP32 with a PoE and an Ethernet.
Hmm.
This is the new ESP32S3, which promises to be able to run tiny neural networks that can do video and voice processing.
Nice.
That's neat. And so I'll tell you this story. 2012-ish, about the time I was working at an energy technology company, right
Hmm.
before then actually. Me and my cousin Milo. Milo was really big into mushrooms, and I'm like into gardening. I'm like sustainable permaculturist and all this, but he was really into mycology and mushrooms. And we found some alder trees near my grandparents' house along the creek that were growing oyster mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
He went and harvested. And I'm like, dude, it's gonna kill us. And he's like, no, there's bugs in it. It's totally good. You know. So we brought him home. We cut him up. We cooked it up with some onions and butter and salt, and it was amazing. It was so amazing. It
Yeah.
was a great experience. So I was like, dude, like, there's got to be more to this. So we tore a shed down at my grandparents' house that he wanted to get rid of. Grandpa wanted to get rid of. We set it up at Milo's house, and we were going to hang huge bags of mushroom green spawn and hay and stuff in there, and grow mushrooms and sell them to restaurants, high-end restaurants in San Francisco, and think maybe we could turn it into a little business. So we got the name Mountainside Mushrooms. I got
Yeah.
mountainsidemushrooms.com. I actually still have it, but I haven't done anything with it. But we realized if it hits 80 degrees in the summer, it's toast. So I was like, okay, well, we need something that will look at the temperature and just prevent it from getting hot. And I started working at JLM, and I got exposed to the predecessor. The earlier version of this is the ESP8266.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same basic concept. This is like 240 megahertz, dual core, right? It's very capable. It has built-in Wi-Fi, built-in Bluetooth. These pins are called GPIOs, general input output.
Yep.
And you can set them to high or low. Think of it like a switch, on or off. And so I started learning this, and I didn't actually know about the ESPs at the time. I started off with something similar to this. This is a BeagleBone. It came out around the same time as the Raspberry Pi. It's very similar. It's a 1 gigahertz ARM processor, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, 512 megs of RAM, and an 8 gig onboard eMMC. And but this has 6 UARTs, which are like serial channels. And so I was thinking the first version, I could have two wires come out and talk to a handful of sensors, but I had to read them one at a time, and you would have to know what's on each port. And I said, I needed plug and play universal. So I started thinking, well, how can I do that? I was like, oh, well, I'll take an ESP, and it can talk to the ESP, and the ESP can talk to those devices.
Okay.
So the ESP can tell the BeagleBone, here's what I am. I have these sensors, here's my data. And so I could have 6 lines now. You could just plug it into any open port and it would go. And this is for like growing mushrooms or growing like in a greenhouse.
Nice.
And as it evolved and life happened and I kind of let it go and I came back to it. And I realized one day, I don't want to grow just mushrooms and I don't want just a greenhouse controller. I want an anything controller. So I started building this out to be more like generic. And then, so I'm building an automation controller right now. And so I have this nice little, this is a Pine Rock Pro 64. It's just a little single board computer. It's got like Wi-Fi and I think 8 gigs, and it runs a little ARM version of Debian. It runs my Node.js React projects, the interface to the whole thing. And then I have these ESP chips that can have whatever sensors you want on them. Like you turn them on, they broadcast a network. It has a page. It walks you through the setup. It's all like almost like a product. It's almost there. It's really nice. So these can have, temperature sensors or a current transformer or whatever you want on it. And they report their data over WebSockets to the automation controller. And so what I've built and what I'm nearly done building right now is this, like I can detect patterns like double button press or triple button press or long button press. And it can interpret that and turn on or off any relay or any sequence of relays that it wants. So I can use it to control, like I have a scheduler in there, I can control the sprinklers, right? The sprinklers can run for a certain time during the day. I have a chicken coop. I've got about 20 chickens now. And I don't want to just do chickens. It's very time consuming and it's a lot of work. So if I could ensure that they have food and water, and when it's like 30 degrees out here, that they have some heat with a little temperature sensor, if I can automate that, right, then I'm free to now go do some honeybee keeping or something else, or get some goats or fenced-in property, whatever it is. So the idea behind this is like, I think that I could use it, but I wonder if somebody else could use it. So I'm probably going to release it open source, and down the road, when the time is right and I have the right companions, we'll sell some hardware or something with it.
What's the programming language that it uses?
Yeah, so the automation controller itself is Node.js and React.
Okay, right. Yeah, you did mention. Yeah.
Socket.io internally for messaging between front end and back end, and some of the services. So if you wanted it bigger, you could run the different services on different machines, and it would still work. So you could really have a lot of automation things if you wanted. Yeah. And then these chips, these run C++. It's on the Arduino platform, and there's like libraries out there for just about anything you want. And now with the AI, I can literally be like, hey, I have this chip. My DHT22 temperature sensor is on this port. Make it work, and it's like boom, done. So
Yeah.
I built a framework out for this. So that's all it is now. If I want a new device on the network, that broadcasts its own network and has the multicast DNS, so the server can find it automatically, and it's got a web
Mhm.
interface, tells you what's in it, like all the
Yeah.
things, all the features are there. Um,
I think it needs a name. Do you think would you like have you thought of giving this a name?
yeah, um, I thought about the name. It's AUTOCTRL, just
Auto control?
auto control. Yeah,
Okay.
and I
Oh
got the
yeah,
domain.
I like that.
It has a little ring to it. I don't know if I like it. I had the domain autocontrol.io, which I got for like $5 the first year, and then they wanted
Yeah,
$70 to renew it. I'm like, oh, that's
yeah. They get us with these weird little things many times.
yeah. And then I decided, yes, I do want it, and they're like, okay, it's going to be $180 now. I was like, oh, forget it.
No, it's they always do that, and then it's like it's just easier to just switch it to something that's standard.
Yeah, and it's a domain name doesn't matter to me. That name works for in development, but the reality is this isn't going to be on the internet. The whole idea is to be able that this is not internet dependent. It will continue operating with or without internet.
Yeah,
And you might have some kind of like fleet manager that like it reports to, but it's not like mission critical that it has to report right now or your chickens are going to turn into dinner.
yeah, yeah. You will have to roast them.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can see behind me there. I kind of set it up so like um, eh, it's an ESP32 hooked
Hmm.
up to a couple lamps. I was going to do a little demonstration, but I'm in the middle of building, making the dashboard a little more customizable, and I kind of broke it, so I can't really show it off right now. But
Yeah.
that's what I've been testing on. It's just two relays that
Okay.
run two separate plugs on an outlet, and so I have a
Yeah.
couple lamps turned on, and
Yeah.
it's neat because I'll be working on here, and all of a sudden a light will turn on and I'm like, oh, hey, it's
Yeah.
working. It's like gets me excited. But
Yeah.
again, like that, you got to bring it back to that thing. You got to find something you love.
Yeah.
It has to really, and it's not like I go, oh, I'm so excited to mentally drain myself today. It's not about that. It's not about the work itself necessarily, although it's
Yeah.
challenging and a proper amount of challenge is healthy. But at the end of the day, it's what I build and when I see it. Like I remember the first time when I had this idea, I was like, oh, I can do this in JavaScript, and I can, and I set a BeagleBone up to a lamp with a relay, and I was over here, and I was like, I want it to run from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., and it turned on, and I was like,
Hey.
oh, like a little girl, I was so excited. It was the coolest thing. So, that's like having that internal motivation to be able to move forward with whatever you're working on. You have to have it. It's super critical. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
So,
know, yeah.
in addition to the auto control, like, what are some of the things that you love to work on? Like, what would be a perfect ideal project?
So I have a lot of projects. So I'm like I said, basically since I was 10, I always have something I'm working on the side.
Yeah.
Uh, when I was working for JLM, they had this thing that would happen where like the guy would fly out to Hawaii to open
Mhm.
up a case and press a button, and oh, problem fixed.
I know.
you know and
Yeah.
when the problem first showed itself, nobody knew, well, did their internet go out, did the device crash, is it our API, is the API still running, and no one, and so everyone would be running around like chickens with their head cut off trying to figure out, well, what is the problem, is it just them or is it everybody, and that was the first thing, is it just that one customer or is it every customer.
Hmm.
I had this idea, so like over the weekend, and of course I didn't, this is right this is right after I did the three-phase power meter. I
Hmm.
had this idea. I learned that there was this thing called a reverse SSH.
Hmm.
So one of the problems is that anytime somebody installed our device, which literally it was running on BeagleBones, they'd install this in their network, and it's just a home network or whatever, or office network, and so it could talk out, but no one could talk in. So if
Yeah.
we needed to be able to like go get into it and figure out what's going on, somebody would need to set up port forwarding and or, to get over their NAT
Yeah.
or whatever it is, and that was just like a drag, but it could talk out. So I created a little thing. I called it Heartbeat, and it was written in Python and PHP and MySQL, and it would once a minute report system health. And I could click a button and queue up a command like a reverse SSH on this port, and it would get that command, and then it would make a reverse SSH connection to one of our servers and make its port 22 available on port 5,000 whatever you wanted over here.
Yeah.
And that would allow me to SSH in here and get the prompt from the device. And
Yeah.
so, and I saw it in my head. So I literally prototyped this out over the weekend, left a BeagleBone at my house with a thing on it, and demonstrated it in our software meeting. And the CEO, he had a foul mouth, but he was like, "Yeah, run with it." So
Yeah.
I worked on that for the rest of my time there. And when they closed down, that concept of like remote system health monitoring and remote access, I like that. So I have this thing. I got the domain heartbeatiot.com. It's still not up. These are like, I need to just finish one. I focus on one. I kind of have focused on the automation controller because I think there's more potential there. But someday it'll come on someday. So the idea is that it's all written in Node.js, JavaScript. The devices communicate over WebSockets, so you don't click on a button and wait a minute for the device to check in and do a thing. When you click the button, it's instant. We've got a Dockerized situation in Kubernetes that allows us to spin up a temporary container for reverse SSH to keep it secure, randomizing passwords or certificates, that kind of thing. So we have a secure mechanism on it that makes it more viable in like a corporate environment. But yeah, everything, the client is also JavaScript, and it has the ability to process plugins. So you can customize it yourself. I'm like, you got to make money, but at the same time, there's so many products out there that are just so close to like me being able to do what I want with it instead of locking me in this box. So I really try to make these things open so that when somebody who is beginner, they can still use it, but when they're like, oh, well, I really need to do this one advanced thing, they have that capability. Or the advanced user comes in and goes, oh, this is cool, I can do whatever I want, and it's just, you get kind of like this feeling of excitement. Hopefully the person using it someday will have as much excitement using it and appreciation for that as I have getting excited building it, because it's something to be excited about. So I have that. As I've been learning more about AI, I bought a Reolink network camera, and it's just out over the end of my house, kind of sees the chickens in the garden. And I had this idea, and I have lots of ideas. I don't want to make it too long. I was watching a YouTube video, and this guy made a home-based drone radar system. It was like $2,500 for the board and whatever, the radar, but then he did some stuff to it. I was like, man, that's so cool. From like 20 miles away, you can see if there's a fleet of drones. You ever seen that military? I think it was fake at the time, but you ever see that YouTube where they have these little assassination drones, and they like camera and an AI, and they like cut a hole in the glass and fill in and find the guy, blow his head off, and then they're gone, right? Yeah. That freaked me out, right? Really bad. It was terrifying. So then I had this idea when I saw the radar. It's like, well, why couldn't you have a drone-based home defense system?
Yeah.
You see when there's drones out there, and you can have drones shooting nets or whatever to capture other drones or disable other drones. That maybe someday I'll get there. It's a little over my head at the time, and it requires money that I don't have. But I wanted to start simple. So I have my camera out there, and I can pull it in with Node.js and that FFmpeg program utility. And so I can pull it in, and in Node.js on the back end, I can take that video feed and put it into WebRTC. WebRTC is a peer-to-peer video, kind of like Zoom or Google. I think Google made it. Google Meet probably uses it. The idea is that, if I want to talk to like 4 people, if I am sending and receiving to those 4 people, and each of those 4 people are all sending and receiving to everybody else, then it's all like we're in the same chat room. We're all together, right? Yeah. I wanted to do that with the video feed. So I have this nice power over Ethernet 16-port Dell gigabit beefy network switch, and I want to plug in 16 cameras, grab all their feeds, pull it into the Node.js, into WebRTC, and from WebRTC, I can send it to different physical machines to do different processing because I don't really have the hardware. I'm trying to make do with what I got, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm running AI on something, there's a higher processing demand. Maybe I need multiple servers to handle groups of streams or different streams. I haven't quite figured out the details, but the idea is I can do motion detection for cheap. And when there's motion detection, send a few frames to an AI to say, tell me what you see. I'm looking for humans and animals and cars and people, whatever. And it can come back and tell me that. And then I can send it to like an LLM, like a ChatGPT kind of thing or whatever. and I could say, here's the situation. You're getting information from a security system, and I want you to determine a threat level. Threat
Yeah.
levels, things that increase threat levels are going to be like weapons, guns. Consider the time of the day that they're there, what you see, all these
Mhm.
kinds of things. And then when it does that processing in terms of threat level, it could tell the automation controller. I almost want AI to control the automation controller. So if it
Yeah.
sees in the cameras that they're walking through the garden, it can turn on the sprinklers,
Mhm.
track them. Maybe someday it can deploy drones to just form a wall. A drone could come out with a spotlight, another one could come out and say, "You're trespassing, get lost."
Yeah.
The police have been notified. It's just, I can see how it could all work together. So, little
Yeah.
bit at a time, I've got one camera and it talks to Node.js, and I can grab a video feed, and I'm working on the motion detection.
That
That's
is
where I'm at with that.
yeah, that is really exciting. Like it's amazing like how this can I can already visualize this being a product. It's something that we can deploy. I was just speaking with somebody and they told me like although there is so much stuff happening in the AI, I think a lot of progress is going to be made within the home, like within the home networking, the home.
Yeah,
People call it smart home, but it's so fragmented right now,
yeah,
right? Like it's like doing one thing and that's it. Like
right.
it, I get notified when my garage door opens. But okay, what about it?
But can it close the door when it's left open? I mean,
Yeah.
I got kids, and I love my kids. My kids are great, and they're a little messy sometimes. Like they'll leave doors open. The cat might get out. They'll leave the fridge open. It's a waste of energy. They'll leave the door open when the air's on. All these things. It would be so cool if you had the hardware. It's not even about programming at that point. Just the hardware to like
Yeah.
a sliding glass door is left open and it can shut itself. Right?
Yeah.
If you have just that, you can automate that any which way you want. Right?
Yeah.
With this ESP32S3,
Hmm.
it has the ability to look at a camera and determine if someone's there, determine if a door's open, determine if a chicken is out of the box, out of the coop.
Yeah.
You can also like talk to it, or clapping patterns, or
Hmm.
whatever you can imagine, or it can look at sensor data of any kind and
Yeah.
make decisions based on that. So like that makes a lot of sense to me that in the future we will have more home automation where it's like practical. It's not just
Hmm.
Siri in a box on your desk or Google in a box on your desk.
Yeah.
And this ESP was like $5, so
Yeah.
anybody can get this. And there's models that are out there that are free. Yeah, it takes a little bit of learning. This is a fun place to start, by the way. If you
Yeah.
want to get into tech stuff, this allows you to C++ or Python, and in some cases, you can even do JavaScript on this. There's packages out
Hmm.
there that let you do that. And you can talk to, like I just got right here, is a little temperature humidity sensor. It's power, ground, and a data line. And you go download the Adafruit library, and it works. It's not even that hard, especially with AI. Um, sorry, I'm going to tangent for a second because I recently saw a thing where they're talking about they did a test with students or with children and AI use, and they found that the people that used AI had like declining cognitive scores. But I find that how you use AI matters. I talk to AI and I'm like,
It,
I got these three services and they all talk to Socket.io and this and that. And I am having some race conditions with the database. I want a layer in between these that caches the data and decides when to talk to the database to create an area of separation there. And I can tell that to the AI, this is what I want.
yeah.
And then it can like drum up some little structure for me. And I got to think about that. Does that make sense? Is that what I want? But it's very mentally engaging. It's not just do this. Here's my
Yeah.
assignment.
But
Do it for me.
yeah, I think a lot of people might be using AI to like delegate what they want, and then there is a way to like being able to like think more at a higher level by using the
Yeah.
LLM. Yeah.
Yeah, the amount of data that's stored in like things like ChatGPT is insane. The
Yeah.
amount of knowledge that's contained within that. So like I'm running my MacBook Pro from this one's 2012 and this one's 2019, but they don't really have the ability to run an AI model. It just doesn't have it. But I was able to run a 4-bit quantized Llama 3 model, I think it was, and it's still dirt slow. It's very slow, but it works. And that
Yeah.
gets me excited because if the world ended and I had no internet, I would still have a massive amount of knowledge. And there's something about that that's kind of it tickles me to my core in a way. Like I like having that, even if it's some fictitious end of the world scenario. I like that
Yeah.
there. I like that I can ask it questions. If
Yeah.
you know,
That's how innovation happens, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So cool. As we come closer to the end of this episode, If somebody wants to pursue the same path that you have followed, what are some of the recommendations that you would give to somebody that's just entering the tech industry?
Yeah. I started when I was 10, right? So you could be at any age.
Mm-hmm.
And the younger you are, the better. But even if you're old, it's not going to stop you. It's just going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Even if you feel that your knowledge exceeds what college can offer you, um, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to college, because college isn't necessarily about the knowledge you gain, but about the you're in the group kind of thing. And when you're in the group, you
Yeah.
have more opportunities. And you can say, I
Yeah.
have a degree. Okay, you have a piece of paper that says you can do the things you already knew how to do before you get there. If that's an option for you, I'm not going to say don't take it, but don't ruin yourself financially over college, because if you've been doing something for 5 or 10 years that you're passionate about and you have that capability to build something productive, put it out there. Put it out there and have no shame about it. College isn't a make it or break it thing. College is
Mm-hmm.
for some people, it's not for everybody else. So start there with the education and start there with your passions. And, um, you know, at the end of the day, when you have a skill, no matter how developed it is, there is someone out there who would probably hire you. It's just about finding them. That means
Yeah.
you go onto LinkedIn, you go to dice.com. Dice.com and LinkedIn are probably the two main sources that I go to for tech related jobs. And
Mm-hmm.
just spend 6 months applying to jobs. And you'll get
Mm-hmm.
one job. You'll get 5 interviews and one job out of 6 months, maybe. And that's okay, because you don't need
Yeah.
everyone to like you. You just need one person to like you. And at the end of the day, if you can get a job or even an internship where you're doing something, that matters more than anything else. If that's
Mm-hmm.
what you love to do, absolutely, just go do it. Um, but if you're going to be in this field, you are forever going to be learning. You're always going
Mm-hmm.
to be learning new things. You're always going to be facing new challenges. And being willing to face new challenges says a lot about who you are. Don't shy away from it. And being honest and having integrity along the way. And being able to say in an interview, yeah, I don't know that, but I'm willing to learn it. I think I
Mm-hmm.
have an idea. I think it might take me a week or two. Be honest. And remember that the place that's the right place for you is going to have the right culture, and that culture means they're going to show you the respect you deserve as a person and as a developer, whether you're junior or senior. And it's not just about what you need to accomplish at the end of the day. A job is also like, there's that saying, they're like, oh, it's nothing personal, it's just business. No, it's all personal. Business is personal.
Yeah.
It's always personal. So make sure you're in the right environment so that you're not floundering because you're just not in the right place. Find the place where you fit. Find the place you belong. If it's a bad job, a bad manager, whatever, let it go. Throw it away. Move on. Life
Yeah.
goes on. You'll make it somehow. Just,
Yeah.
just don't, just
Yeah. And
don't make reckless decisions. But like, don't be afraid to face challenges.
yeah, and I think one of the most important thing I take from that is ask yourself, like, what do you like to do, right? Don't try to mold yourself into what is available, what an opportunity that just comes across your table. Like, ask yourself what you like to do, and then pursue that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, I'll make that recommendation. I should probably go find it before I make that recommendation. But that Robert Greene video, it should
Hmm.
be on YouTube, and it's so inspiring and so excellent. There's so many people that are like me that maybe don't perfectly fit in socially. Even this was so inspiring. I want to check it out. It's Robert Greene, um, and it was like his story. Let's see if it comes up. And well, that's loading.
Sure.
um, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, we have a lot of fears that we put into ourselves because we don't want to fail, or it never feels good being rejected. It's like getting punched in the belly. It's just like, it just hurts, right? um, but we need to, as cliche as it sounds, be stronger men. We need to be stronger, and women. Be stronger. Don't fear failure, because that's just, there's no good outcome if you follow fear, right? If you follow failure, you face a challenge, and if you keep getting no's and no's and no's, and it's really easy to get discouraged, but you remember, you don't need everyone to like you. You just need that one person to like you. So you don't give
Hmm.
up. you really only fail when you stop trying. And so, if this is what you want, it's going to be hard. There's going to be challenges, but you're can keep going. And it looks like this video it is Robert Greene, and I think it's called "The Key to Transforming Yourself."
Robert Greene, The Keys to Transforming Yourself. Okay.
The
I'll,
key.
I'll, I'll find that and include that in the description.
Yeah, throw it in the YouTube there.
Yeah.
Excellent, inspiring video. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time with me today. It's fun to just kind of nerd out a little bit, and
yeah, I love to learn more about you, and it's been a very inspiring episode. So thanks for sharing all the extremely valuable insights. I learned a lot.
Oh, excellent. I'll throw one last thing if it's all right. You don't have to keep it if you don't think it's appropriate in your final thing. When I had that one post go viral and the millions of people saw it, I was able to get together about a group of 40 people across 7 continents that were all kind of interested in these projects. And I realized something really important. I'm a developer. I'm not a CEO. I'm never going to be a CEO. I can almost be a CEO. Like, I have the inspiration, I have the vision, but I'm not going to get into finance, and I hate legal mumbo jumbo, and I'm not going to, part of also what makes someone successful in some cases is who you're with. So associate with good people. And if anyone is interested in these things, I'm more than happy to share source code if somebody just wants to contribute to a project. And just put it out there and see where it goes. There's no promises, there's no guarantees, but we're doing something. I'm doing something, and it's cool if anybody wants to tag along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a great opportunity itself in the industry. I used to do a lot more tech. I do a lot more of business now, and I do miss tech, and that was one of the reasons I do this podcast, because I was like, do I want to go back and tinker and do one thing, or do I want to speak, just as you mentioned, right? There is a stage when we reach where it's better to speak with more people and do more. I still miss doing everything by myself. One thing that I can do by myself, I miss that. But yeah, instead of me doing one thing, this allows me to do and speak with so many people and connect people with different opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the networking part is really important, because when you're like me, I'm always job hunting because there's all contract work. I would love to have a permanent position, but networking has really become an important part of it as well. So I have a lot of programming friends and software developer friends, and they all work at different companies. And it's sometimes someone will reach out and say, "Hey, we have a little opening," and that's been really meaningful and important to me too, because I think at least one of the jobs that I've gotten in the past was because of something like that. So you never know where those jobs are going to come. Sometimes unexpected, especially when you're complaining about bad interview on LinkedIn. It's totally mind blowing when that happened.
Yeah, never know, right? It's amazing. The world is really a small place. It's crazy. There are aspects of world we think it's just too small, and then there are aspects of this world it's don't limit yourself thinking it's small. It's amazing how both the things are so true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thanks a lot for sharing your extremely valuable insights on a busy Friday. So I really appreciate it. Thanks.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Podcast. Have a good evening.
You as well.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.